everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I am Candy and happy to be spending this time with you today. We have a great guest today, but I got to give shout outs to our 2021 digital sponsors first. And you see them on the side. We have People First and Schaefer Distributing, Embed, Expert Hosiery, Redemption Plus, Simnox, Hagar Communications, Party Center Software, and Creative Works, which is where our guest for today comes from. And we're excited to have him. So introduce yourself, tell them what role you play, and a little about yourself.
Sure. My name is Danny Gruening. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Creative Works. And our company at Creative Works, we create powerful emotions and memories through immersive attractions. We help operators get customers off the couch and into their center with things like laser tag and mini golf, escape rooms, virtual reality, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I've personally been in the entertainment industry for my entire career, which is funny to think about. My very first job I ever got at 15 years old was at a standalone laser tag facility. And I did that through high school and college. After college, I went and worked down at Disney World for a couple of years and getting that kind of really amazing frontline customer service training and experience. And then since that point, since about 2011, I've been working on the vendor side here in this part of the entertainment industry.
Awesome. I didn't realize that your very first job was in the industry. I knew you had been in it since like early jobs. I didn't know it was your very first.
Well, the funny thing is, so many of the people that I talk to in this industry kind of found themselves like accidentally falling into it somehow, one way or another. And then what tends to happen is we fall into this industry and then we realize it's awesome and then we don't want to leave, which is kind of what happened to me. And it just sort of how it goes.
I know Pete from AAMA uses my story sometimes because I was restaurant and hospitality and going through that management and leadership track. And it was through a franchise group. And one of the leaders there said, "Hey, I've been moved to this other brand. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that for a little bit of time," but not really thinking it'd be forever. And then I went to IAPA and I was like, "Oh, this isn't just a job. It can be a career." And didn't realize it could be until then. Yeah. So, well, I wanted to talk about Amusement 360. You guys recently hosted Amusement 360 live for the first time since February of 2020. And so how did it go?
Yeah. So first, it went really, really well. You mentioned we haven't hosted it since February 2020. 18 months. We went through 18 months of having to do virtual events, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But after all that time, and virtual events is great in the learning that we have, but there's nothing that beats coming together, meeting face to face, learning with one another, growing with one another, socializing, networking, all of those things. We are a face-to-face industry. The whole point of what we do is getting people out of their homes to celebrate with each other, to escape with each other. And so getting that opportunity on the education side to bring startups and operators and vendors and consultants and speakers and everyone together was fantastic. We had a phenomenal turnout. Those who were there were extremely enthusiastic and very engaged with the content, which for us is really exciting because when we do these kinds of events, and as you know, at Trainertainment, hosting an event is not easy. It takes a lot of work and there's a ton of effort that goes in the back end. So when we can bring people together and they really enjoy their experience and they're engaged in the content and they walk away with really valuable tools that they can put into their business right away, that is amazingly valuable for us.
You guys did something new this time with the 2 tracks, I understand.
Yes. So this is something we did a very small test of in February 2020. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, so we weren't able to do it for a long time after that. But we brought it back in a larger scale for the event we just hosted in August. And what we did is on the second day of the event, we had a dual track split where one track had content mainly geared toward new startups and the other track had content mainly geared toward existing operators. But what we allowed everyone to do is switch back and forth to watch whatever was going to be most relevant to their business and the struggles that they're having or the challenges they're facing or the things that they're going through. So it allows us to provide more specific content that's going to resonate with individual operators or startups. And it also allows us to invite and bring in a lot more guest speakers because we have so many more speaking slots. So we're really happy with how that went and we want to continue that moving forward.
Interesting. So if I understand correctly, just because I said I am a new facility, you didn't force me only into, you must go to this class, followed by this class, followed by this class. You kind of, if I was more interested in something on the other side, it was okay if I bounced, but it kind of was identified what would be best for me if I chose so. Is that it? Am I
Yeah,
understanding?
it was a choose your own adventure type of experience.
I love that.
Yeah, that's how we kind of wanted to approach it, because even if you're a new startup, there may be something on the existing operator track that is really, really interesting to you. So we let people flop back and forth as they needed to, whatever was going to resonate with them. Plus, all the attendees got access to the recordings of everything afterwards. So they didn't have to worry about, oh, I'm going to miss this one. They're going to get access to those recordings and be able to watch everything. So they just got that decision in the moment to go where they felt was most appropriate.
Got it. The data that led to that decision for a dual track, and I know I didn't prep you with this question beforehand, but you know, I feel like back before it was Amusement 360, it was Laser Tag 360, and it was kind of known for the new startup arena. Like if you're interested in getting in the business, you were mainly new people. Did you just notice a trend in existing locations coming back year after year and then wanted to provide more educational content for them?
I think that's a good question. It's kind of that whole chicken and the egg situation.
Yeah.
Were they coming back and then we wanted to cater, or did we have that content to cater to them? I think it's a little bit of both. You're right. It used to be called Laser Tag 360. It was very laser tag specific. We, of course, covered things that relate to opening and running an entertainment venue, but a lot of it revolved around that idea of laser tag. But as we've grown this event, this was our 10th year doing these education series. Yeah, it's been a decade, which kind of blows my mind. But as it evolved a couple of years ago, we looked at our content and the types of things we were presenting on. We realized that almost none of it was laser tag specific. So we decided to rebrand to Amusement 360 because that made more sense to what we were already doing. And, laser tag was one of the products that we offered, and we wanted to teach people how to operate it correctly and efficiently and be able to grow revenue and profits. But it was about so much more than that. And so as we evolved into Amusement 360, we also realized we had a great opportunity to expand beyond just trying to focus on new startups and providing education and tools that would empower existing operators. Because that's also another great thing is when we can bring operators together, existing operators, and they can talk with one another and learn, hey, what are you dealing with right now? How did you overcome this situation? Oh, that's really interesting. Maybe I can try that. That's really powerful. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, when new startups can get in a room with existing operators and they can identify, oh, this person is where I want to be 5 years from now, I need to talk to them and pick their brain. And that's one of the things that we found is so great about this industry. As long as you're not opening in the same market in somebody's backyard, everyone's very willing to share. They're very open, talk about what's working well, what's not working well for them. And it's really great kind of creating that experience where people can have that interaction.
I agree. It is very open. And I don't know if I've ever been in an industry where vendors just so freely gave out so much educational content as well. Restaurants wasn't quite like that. They were more of a competitive nature where I come from. So another thing you guys did with this Amusement 360 was it was a hybrid. It wasn't just live. You could be virtual if you wanted to. So how did that go? How did that work with some people in the room and some people on computer? Or was it a different track altogether? Like what did that look like?
So first, I kind of want to talk about why we made the decision to do the hybrid in the first place. So as I mentioned, we're a face-to-face industry. We wanted to bring people together in the same room because there's so much value that comes from that. That being said, we knew that there was going to be a lot of people that either were unable or unwilling to travel. Maybe it's because of things related to the pandemic and restrictions. Maybe it's because they're just so swamped they weren't able to get away from their business. Whatever the case may be, we knew there was an audience that would not be able to travel, and we didn't want to preclude them from taking part in the event. And so we thought that it was going to be best to offer the virtual track to those who were not able to attend. And I think that's something that is going to continue for us into the immediate future. I don't see that going away. And I know a lot of other events are doing that as well. And I think that we offered a couple different ways that people could engage virtually. There was the free virtual ticket where they didn't have to pay anything. They got access to a limited amount of the presentations where they were able to get some value, but they didn't get access to absolutely all of it. And then we also had a paid ticket, which would give them full access to both tracks, everything that we did. And it's interesting because when coming back, we hadn't hosted an in-person event in 18 months, as we had talked about. And it was us going back through that process of kind of almost relearning the steps of doing that event. And at the same time, throwing an entirely new layer on top of it, doing the hybrid. And what we found is that we had done virtual events for a year and a half, but doing virtual on top of a live is completely different than doing a virtual alone. There's a lot more complications that go into it. There's a lot more that we had to think through. I know one of the biggest things for attendees that are attending virtually is they want to know that they're being heard. They want to know that if they ask a question, someone on the other end is going to hear it and they have the ability to interact. And so that was one of the things that we did is we had team members from Creative Works at the back of the room interacting with everybody virtually. And if someone had a question, let's say it was a panel discussion or an operator interview, and they had a question, we would make sure when we got to the Q&A section that we were asking the questions from the virtual audience, because for us, that was really important to make them know that they're heard and they're seen. And that level of engagement would allow them to have a better experience.
There's a lot of things I'm sure you had to think about doing it both ways. For anyone who hasn't been to Amusement 360, put it on your to-do list. The production level for honestly what may be considered a smaller show in comparison to the big trade shows and stuff is unmatched in our industry. So they have like these big numbers and letters, and it's like it's actually a feeling of being somewhere. I've only seen something like that when I've gone to a big like Dave Ramsey on trade leadership show. So the production level, I give you guys mad props for.
I appreciate that, Candy, and I'll make sure to give you that $20 next time I see you in person. No, I'm just kidding. We do put a lot of work into it, and we're really proud of it, and we're excited that other people can see that value as well.
But you know, it has in the past always been live. So there's also like me being in the audience and hearing the person from the stage. I've been there. You invite people who already are pretty loud, but then to make sure that the people on the other end of a computer screen can hear in that same quality, beginning and ending on time. What were some of those things that you kind of had to work through to think about that virtual audience as well?
Yeah, so that's one thing that was a bit of a learning curve for us is we realized during a live event, we have a schedule of what we want to do, when, the beginning and end times for presentation, the breaks, all those pieces. But as you know from a live event, nothing is ever 100% on time. There's always flex one way or the other, 5 to 10 minutes. It just happens, and we have to be able to roll with those punches. Very easy to do live. But we realize that's a lot more complicated on the attendee side because they have an agenda that they're seeing for, oh, this presentation is going to start at 1 p.m. today, and they get in at 1 p.m. and it's still finishing the last couple of minutes of the previous presentation, and they may think, oh, wait, what's going on here? And so we had to increase our level of communication with those attendees, and that's something we're also going to adjust in the future to make sure what can we do in real time through either notifications through the software or adjustments in real time on the calendar to make sure everyone's on the same page with what's happening. So that was a bit of a learning curve for us and our attendees as well, and we appreciate the feedback that we got from them, which was really helpful for us.
Well, the world did make it easy for you because I think you guys had Mother Nature against you. Some storm came through and
so that's a really great point. One of the things that you said you were going to ask me is something unexpected or surprising to happen. Well, that was one of them. We had a big thunderstorm that rolled through in the event space that we're in, and the lightning must have struck pretty close by because there was a power surge that knocked out all of our presentation equipment in the middle of a presentation. I don't know why I had forgotten about that until right now. But it was great because I was really proud of our team for being able to just work through that issue in real time and find a way to fix it. And we had Sherry Howell from Center Edge, who was on stage during that time, and she rolled with the punches as well. It was one of those things that was interesting for me because kind of Amusement 360 is an event that I sort of own and run. I have a lot of help from a lot of team members, but I'm the point person on it. I wasn't in the room when that happened. I was in the other track.
Oh,
And so
no.
I didn't know what was going on until after it was over. But that was a really proud moment for me as a leader, because I got back in the room and realized that everyone was able to just take care of the problem before I even knew it existed.
That's why you were able to forget about it now. That and the goodwill of like at the end, those challenges come up, but as long as we can roll through them at the end, this feeling is still good, then they're easily forgotten after that. So you said you will continue to do the hybrid model as well?
Yeah, that's our plan for 2022. And I can't speak for beyond that, because
Yeah.
I mean, making plans that far in advance is almost impossible.
I mean, that's crazy talk these days, right? To make plans more than 6 months.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to plan next week at the moment. But one thing I would say to those who are listening is it can be very easy to look at any event, whether it's Amusement 360 or Trainertainment's event or foundations or a big trade show, whatever it is. It can be really easy right now, because we're all so busy, we're understaffed, we're overworked, to say, I can't get away from my business. I don't have the time. I don't have the ability to do that. And I would challenge you to look at it the opposite way. You may say, I can't afford to go there. Maybe you can't afford not to go. Because, if you're drowning in your business, you got to get out of the water. Nothing changes unless something changes. And I know it's hard. I know it's painful. I know we're all so busy. But if you can take the time away from your business, it can give you more of a clear head to be able to really absorb the education. You may be able to learn some things in person that you otherwise would not have. And when you go back to your business, you can feel refreshed, reinvigorated, and ready to take on challenges. Because I know for myself, and I know for all of the people that we've talked to that do virtual events, we're going to offer the virtual ability to register. But it's really hard to get the same level of education when you're virtual. Because when you're virtual, you're at your office, you're at your workplace, distractions come up, you're only half paying attention. I get it. I know how that goes. But if you can be in the room, you're going to get so much more out of it. And this is not just be self-serving about Amusement 360. This is literally any event. Go to them, please, because I know the value that comes out of these educational events. And I know how much more better off your business will be from doing that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. If it's not in your budget to go to a couple events a year, find a way to put it in there. And even beyond events, like it's funny how you say like the magic happens away from your workplace. When we work with clients in business coaching to do their annual planning or quarterly planning, we're like, don't do it in your center. You will not make the same types of decisions because you'll be bogged down like in the weeds so that you can't see that big level view and be motivated and think about what is possible. All of those things. When you're doing something virtual, you're hearing it probably in the background. Let's be honest. Most people are still probably looking at their email and answering a few things here or there. So it just won't hit you the same way as if you were in the room and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's a great idea, or that really inspires me.
It's exactly right. And, even outside of our industry, one of the things that our leadership team did at Creative Works earlier this year is we did the virtual Entree Leadership Summit. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to make sure that we had the ability to really absorb that content. So we made it a weekend or a week retreat. We went down to the Pigeon Forge, Tennessee area, got a big cabin, and spent that time away from the office with each other, watching those presentations and being able to, as soon as they were over, talk about our takeaways and what things we want to implement. And that was really valuable. That time away from the business it can seem really painful to think about and to do. But one thing that I found is every time we've done it, the business survives. Nothing burns down. Everything's fine. We create a lot more problems up here than really exist in real life.
Yep. It still will be there tomorrow when you get back. I'm going to move on a little bit. You guys have another different type of event coming up. I think that this is a kind of unique event of its kind. And so I think this may need a little bit more explanation as to what it is and what people can get out of it. So I'm going to let you take it from there, and because I may not even call it the right thing. So
that's great. So it's under our Amusement 360 umbrella, but it's different from our traditional events that are educational events. This is called the Innovation Showcase. We debuted this last year, November 2020, right around the time that IAPA would have happened, although it did get canceled, as we all know.
Yep.
And essentially is a way for startups and operators to come to a one-day virtual only event and see the latest products, services, innovations, all the things that a bunch of vendors in our industry have released this year or are about to release to help those operators get more customers in the door, drive more revenue, increase their profits. And it allows them to learn about a lot of these things leading into the IAPA season and as they're getting ready to make their buying decisions through the end of the year and into Q1 and Q2 of next year. And so it's a one-day virtual only event, and it's all going to be kind of chunked into 1 hour segments. And each hour, we're going to have 3 to 4 vendors that will participate in a short panel discussion. Afterwards, we'll be followed by each of them individually hosting their own showcase. And they're going to talk about, like I mentioned, all those products and services and innovations, all the new things that they've been working on and will continue working on to help operators generate more revenue. And they'll be able to spend the whole day watching all these presentations, being able to maybe be introduced to companies and products they didn't know existed, and be able to make those connections as we lead into IAPA being next month, which is crazy to think about.
I know. This year is we're in Q4. It is October though, so it's officially Halloween season in my world. So I'm excited about that. So you said panels, and then they go into showcases. Well, I know you use the hop-in platform. So will you go to separate places, or will it be one right after the other, and I stay in the same place and hop in?
Yeah, it's all going to be in hop-in, and it's really easy to follow. There's a certain point where all the panel discussions will be in a certain segment of the software, and then all the showcases will be in another segment of the software, but it's really easy to click back and forth between them. And just like we do for our Amusement 360 events, all of the sessions and showcases will be recorded. So all those who register will have the ability to rewatch anything that they may miss because they're, having to make decisions in the moment.
Okay. Do I need to register? Where do I find information about that? Is there a cost to it? Like those types of things.
Yeah, 100% free. You'll be able to register on our Amusement 360 website. By the time that this is airing, there will be a link on our website that you can click to register. Super simple, really easy. It's on our Hop-In platform that we've been using for a year now for both our hybrid and all virtual events and some of our webinars as well. So it makes it really easy to interact, to be able to start video chats with either a vendor or another attendee. There's going to be virtual booths. It's going to be a really great experience, and it's all happening kind of condensed into one really jam-packed day.
Awesome. What's the date?
October 21st.
Okay, everyone put that on your calendar. Train Entertainment is participating in that as well, as long as a lot of awesome vendors out there. So before I ask you the fun question for the day, is there anything else about Creative Works or your world that you want to share?
I mean, really, I don't want to turn this into like an advertisement for us. So I just basically wanted to encourage people to continue learning, continue seeking out opportunities for education, and find ways to get away from your business. Because when you do that, so much growth will happen. We, of course, are hosting and will be a part of the Innovation Showcase on October 21st. We will also be participating in the IAPA Attractions Expo in November. We're going to have 2 giant booths like we always do. It's going to be a ton of fun. So come check us out there. But other than that, I'm just excited to be here and just share some experiences with you and the rest of your audience.
I just want to also point out that you guys live what you just preached, like the get out of the business, all of that stuff. You guys are part of masterminds. Like you just said, you went on a retreat to watch Entree Leadership. So he's not telling you anything that they don't do themselves.
That's exactly right.
All right. One recommendation for our audience. It can be anything. It can be a new food, a recipe, a book, a podcast, anything. If there's something someone should do this upcoming weekend, what is your recommendation of the day?
I'm going to take probably a slightly different approach than others. I'm going to say get outside. And what I mean by that is, for me personally, I really find kind of peace in nature. I really use hiking and getting out in nature as a getaway for myself. to kind of reconnect and recalibrate and refocus and all those things. And I'm going to be going out this weekend to the mountains. I'm going to be, we're in prime season for the changing leaves, and I live out here in Colorado near the Rockies. So I'm going to go up and check out all the aspens and just be in nature. And I think maybe not everyone has that same feeling that I do, but just give it a shot. Go outside, even if you're just going to take a walk in a field or walk through the forest or whatever it is. Take some time to get away and get off your phone. Don't bring that with you. Just be. That would be my recommendation.
I don't know if I know that you have moved to Colorado, but I don't know that I've told you that, like, I have friends that live out in Colorado, and my first trip out there, I like stepped outside and was like, oh yeah, I see one. This is always on the list of like the healthiest states to live in the United States. It was just because if you live in that much beauty, how can you not be in it, be outside?
That's 100% right.
All right. Well, we like to close Think Tank by asking a signature question, as you're aware. So what is it that you do to grow yourself and others?
Yeah, so I think the answer, because there's a lot of things, and this is my second time on Think Tank. I don't remember what I said last time. It's been a little while. But for me, one of the things I've been doing for the last 2 years is a weekly mastermind. And so it's this coaching group that I'm a part of every single Friday for an hour. I meet with my group, and it's other business leaders and entrepreneurs and those who want to grow themselves and grow their businesses. And we spend an hour each week getting better, learning from one another, our wins, our challenges, our failures. And that has helped me grow an immense amount in the last 2 years. And I think that having that peer group that you can regularly check in with, that you can help one another grow, is extremely valuable.
Now, that's not just this industry, right? Like, you learn from other industries, from other types of businesses and all of that.
Correct. This is not in our industry specifically. All the people that I'm a part of have nothing to do with our industry, but it's all about the general, the things that go across industry, the leadership skills, the business strategies, the internal thoughts and processes, and the way that we go about finding patterns and habits and thought processes that serve us, rather than finding things that don't serve us.
No, I agree. I think that's very powerful. When you dive down to like the essence of business, it's not that much different from one to the next.
That's absolutely right.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you for taking your time. I know it's a busy one for you today. Where can people find you if they have questions about the showcase or about future 360s, or just want to connect with you because you're brilliant?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a really easy way. Danny Gruening, which I'm sure my name will be written out. My last name's a little bit unique spelling. You can check me out on LinkedIn, shoot me a message. Or if you want to learn more about Creative Works, our website is thewoweffect.com. You can learn more about our products and services, as well as you can check out Amusement360.com to learn more about that event program, both the educational events as well as the innovation showcase.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you. And thank you again to our 2021 digital sponsors. If any of you out there have an idea for Think Tank, know someone I should interview, or you would like to be a guest yourself, you can always shoot me an email at candy@trainentertainment.net. And then we'll be back next week. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Candy.